Welcome to Wiring Methods, lab number 1. The first thing that you'll want to do when you're working on lab number 1 is obviously collect your lab board. Then you're going to collect the parts that you need from your lab board. As you can see here, we have the schematic for that lab. You should have already filled out your lab sheet showing where all of your wires are going to go. Looking at this lab, we see we have a symbol for a single pole switch. We also have a symbol for a light fixture, which is, we're going to use this one right here. You'll also want to gather you the few wire nuts that you'll need, possibly some scrap wire that you may need to finish out some connections. Once you've gathered all of your parts that you need to assemble it, then we're going to begin assembly. You may notice on this lab board that we have several, these have been used before. And so when you go to disassemble it, we're going to try to take as much care as we can not to damage the wires. These boards have to be used several times. If a board does get to a point where it cannot be reused, then we'll have you guys pull a new wire for it so that the next group is able to use it. So with a single pole switch working a lot with our home run pulled into our switch box, the only thing that we need to break between here and our light is the hot wires. And so the first thing that we're going to do is tie together our neutrals. Now we want to get a proper bond here. We're not looking for this to just be a couple of wraps. We want to use our lineman's pliers to create a proper bond. Trim off that nub. Then we're going to add a wire nut. I've trimmed this to approximately 3/4 of an inch. Our wire nut covers it fully, right? That's one of the things you're going to be graded on. Does your wire nut fully cover it? Now, if you notice, as I twist this, right, the wires are twisting together, right? They're mechanically bonded. So if I took this wire nut off, these wires would still be they would still be holding together. They would not come apart. Now I would also twist my grounds together. These are already tied together. I'm not going to make you untie these when you're done with the project. We will, however, need another ground added to this to tie into our switch. So we're going to add one more wire here. And tie on a wire nut. Now we're going to tuck our parts that we've already used. We're going to tuck those down in there out of the way. Tuck them inside the box out of the way. Now all we have left are our two hot conductors, our ungrounded conductors, one in our home run, one that's going to our light. I'm going to wrap these around our receptor, or our light switch, tightening down the screw, ensuring that there's no copper coming behind the switch, and also ensuring that I don't have any insulation underneath the set screw. Now these are trimmed a little bit farther than what I would like them to be. We're reusing what we have here, and so I'm trying not to damage what I have if it's not necessary. Now if this wire had been cut back, had been stripped back too far, I would have gone in and adjusted that. That's right. Same thing here. Our copper wire is not extending behind the back of the switch, but the insulation is not under the screw. Both of those are wrapped in a clockwise direction around the switch. I'm going to twist a hook onto my ground, wrapping it around clockwise to the grounding screw. I will tighten it down as well. Tuck everything into the box. Then I'm going to come to the opposite box here. I have my light fixture. Right, well, this is a very simply, we're going to tie black to black, white to white. This is a little bit, needs to have a little more stripped off here. Just have about a 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch there. Gonna need a couple more wire nuts. Now, when you're bonding copper to stranded, it is a little bit more difficult. You can't get the mechanical bond that we get with 2 solid wires. We are able to wrap these around the best we can. We add our wire nuts. Or pull, give a little, each of these wires a little tug to make sure that they are mechanically bonded, that our wire nut is mechanically bonding them. Now, this light fixture doesn't have a place for a ground, and so I'm going to tuck that down into the box. And I may ask you about that, like, wait, why is that in the box? Just let me know. We don't have a grounding screw on this particular device. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is our home run. We're going to take our home run, and where it comes out, we're going to tie together the black and the white wire here. That's something you would never, obviously you would never do that in the field, but that allows us, for our lab purposes, I can screw in this battery operated bulb, and when we flip the switch on and off, it allows that to work. And so we can see that we have properly wired this switch and light combo, and then I would hand this back to you, and you would disassemble everything, put it back underneath the tray, and then start on your next lab.